Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I thought I would bring you into the kitchen with me. I'm ready to make supper. I'm doing a very easy Instant Pot recipe. Been outside working pretty much all day today, me and Mr. Smith. And so I came in, got cleaned up so that I could come in here and cook. I was absolutely filthy. But before I get started cooking dinner, I just wanted to say I have received so many lovely compliments on my haircut. I know it's quite a bit of a change from what it was, but I have to confess, I'm kind of regretting getting my hair cut so short. I mean, it's a great cut, don't get me wrong, but it's a million degrees outside. It is summer in Alabama, and I can't put my hair up in a ponytail anymore. That's what I get for doing an impulse thing, you know. But while I do regret getting it cut quite so short, I don't regret making the appointment and going and having my hair cut, because Alabama, like most states in the country, there are some states who didn't, but most states shut down. A lot of people were having to stay home, couldn't go to work, and it's been a real struggle for a lot of people. My household hasn't really been hit that much. I work from home, I'm a blogger, I have my brand, that's what I do for a living. And quite frankly, business was booming. With everybody being stuck at home, people were cooking more, and so people were visiting my website more. Things were great for me. Mr. Smith has been teleworking, so he's been working from home. And so financially, it didn't really affect us. And so we tried to give support where we were able to. We would go at least once a week to one of the local restaurants and get some takeout. And then when things began opening up, they're still not 100%, but when they started, as soon as the salons were able to open, I called the girl who cut my hair last time and booked the appointment, because even though I didn't need a haircut, I felt like she could use the support. So yeah, anyways, my hair will get longer, it'll grow, and I'll be able to put it up in a ponytail again, and all will be well in the world. I'll just melt a lot in the meantime. Alright, so let me grab an apron. And we'll get started making dinner. So the recipe that I'm doing is really a flank steak recipe, but as I mentioned, the world is a little crazy right now and you can't always get what you want at the grocery store. And my freezer was out of flank steak, the grocery store was out of flank steak, and so I grabbed a London broil, and that's what I'm going to make this, this recipe with. And before someone has like a conniption fit and their head explodes, I am going to tell you straight up, I do not know the first thing when it comes to cuts of meat, and someone may be screaming at me saying you shouldn't be doing a London broil in an Instant Pot, but I don't know the first thing about cuts. I will make a recipe with a cut of meat, and if I like the way it turned out, I'll say, okay, this is the cut of meat that you use for this recipe. There's a lot of things I use very interchangeably, and if this is the wrong way to make a London broil, so be it, but we're gonna do it anyways. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna do is mix up the sauce that will go in here. I need a cup of beef broth or beef stock, or beef bone broth, which is basically beef stock, whatever you have on hand. 1 cup. And just a quick tip, when you use a carton like this of broth and you don't use the whole thing, take a permanent marker, write on here the date that you opened it. That way you know exactly how long this has been in your fridge. Now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now I need 1/4 cup of coconut aminos, and that looks pretty darn close. A tablespoon of fish sauce. Now I need a teaspoon of chili powder. A teaspoon of cumin. And a 1/2 teaspoon of chipotle powder. I'm gonna whisk these together. Alright, now I'm just gonna set this aside for now, and I will use that in a little bit. Now I'm just gonna grab a little bowl. I'm going to slice up an onion and a bell pepper. And it really doesn't matter what color of bell pepper you use. You can use a green one, red one, yellow, or orange. You could actually even use something like a lipstick pepper, like the ones I grew last year in the garden. It had a very mild flavor, and it was very similar to a bell pepper. Actually, let me grab another bowl, one for the compost. Alright, now I'm going to slice the onion. Alright, so here is my London broil that I got. And like I said, this is supposed to be a flank steak, but I couldn't find any flank steak, so we're using the London broil. If you're going to make this recipe, I recommend looking for a flank steak if you can find it. I'm just going to cut off this piece of fat here on the end because it's kind of like a hard, unsavory piece of fat. I'm going to cut this in half because I want my steak to be able to fit into the bottom of the Instant Pot because I'm going to sear it. Alrighty, so now I'm going to get some salt and pepper, and I'm going to do both sides of this steak. Actually, salt first before I touch it. So I'm going to turn the Instant Pot on to the saute function. Let that start getting hot. Add in a little bit of avocado oil. And I'm going to let that get nice and hot. You want it to be where the oil is kind of shimmering, but not necessarily, it's not smoking hot. Okay, now we're going to do one at a time. We're just going to set it down and let it sear for a couple of minutes. So now I'm just going to let that cook without touching it for about 2 or 3 minutes. Then I'll flip it over and do the other side and let that go for 2 or 3 minutes. You want to get the nice brown crust on both sides of the meat. Just adds lots of flavor, lots of depth to the dish that you're creating. Once this piece is done, I'll take that out, set it on a plate, and I'll do the same thing with the other piece of the meat. Alright, the cancel button. Let that cool down for a second. Alright, so I've got one piece in the Instant Pot, and I'm going to take half of the onions and peppers, and I'm going to layer them on top. Then I'll take the other half of the meat. I'm going to put in the other half of the onions and peppers. And then I'm going to take my sauce, give it one more quick stir, and pour it in. So now I'm going to put the lid on and close it. I'm going to press the, where is it? Meat button. And I'm going to adjust this to 35 minutes and let it go. So you're going to let that go for the 35 minutes, and then you're going to allow the pressure to come down naturally, which takes about 10 minutes or so, and then it'll be ready. I do have one other thing that I had to show you because it was absolutely, I thought it was hilarious. I was walking around the side of the barn to grab eggs when I noticed something, or two somethings. So I ran into the house and I grabbed my camera, but when I came back, one of them had moved and wasn't there anymore. But I did get one of them on camera. I was absolutely cracking up, you know, to come around the corner to grab eggs and see two rabbits sitting there side by side with the chickens just chowing down at the chicken feeder. That was pretty funny. So yeah, I just had to share that with y'all because I thought it was cute. Alright, so it's now a little bit later. The steak is finished cooking. I pulled it out and I have it sitting there on the cutting board. I'm gonna let it rest for just a couple of minutes before I slice it up. It's always a good idea to let your meat rest before you cut it up, because when meat is cooking, it's under pressure, and when you slice into it, all of that juice flows right out, and that's how you end up with dry meat. So if you allow it to rest and allow the pressure to come down a little bit within the meat, then when you slice it up, it doesn't all dry out. So we pressure washed the carport area today because we've got a goose and a duck who think the carport's the best place in the world to sleep, which is gross, you can imagine. So we have to pressure wash that frequently. So one of the things that I did today was I set up this fence for the little ones and opened up, we have a little opening there in the side of their run. So I opened that up and gave them access to come out into a yard to stretch their legs, chase the bugs, and do all of that stuff. So today was their first day coming out in the open, and they're still contained. They were still contained by the fence, but they absolutely had a ball. Now this is the fence that was around the cattle panel structure where my 4 new chickens, younger chickens but older than these guys, where they have been living. And so tonight what's going to happen is we are going to let everybody go to bed like everything's normal, And then once it is dark, we will go get the young ones out of the candle panel house over there, and we will bring them over here to the big coop. We will place them on the roost, we will close the door, and then in the morning everybody will just wake up and come on out. So I just wanted to come over here to wrap up the video with the beautiful lemon queen sunflower behind me. Isn't that beautiful? I'm telling you, if you like sunflowers, lemon queens are the ones you need to grow. Just look at that. So I went out there and I checked all my trail cameras today and checked all the SD cards, brought up all of the images that had been captured, and I have a feeling I may have missed my chance at seeing the wild hogs. I know that's what was creating all of that chaos back in there in the woods, but when hogs come around, the deer go away, and then when the hogs move on out, the deer come back. Well, all I'm getting so far on camera is raccoons, a blur that I think was a fox. I got a hawk actually getting something. I have a very pregnant deer. I'm thinking she's the one that has twins out here every year. And then that's it, no hogs. And because that doe is hanging around and I'm seeing her out there every single night, I'm thinking maybe the hogs have moved on out again. We don't have them around here very often. I mean, they live back in there in the woods, and every so often they'll come up out of the woods and make their presence known up in the area. So I don't know, but I'll keep checking and maybe they'll show up on camera. We'll just have to see. So thanks for hanging out with me and cooking supper and then coming out here into the garden. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.